Hello and welcome to your weekend podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew and I'm joined tonight by three of my very favourite podders, Stevie, Kenny and Andrew. Plenty to talk about. Obviously, best news was that Rangers easily coasted our way through to the last eight. Never in doubt, really. Or the top eight, rather. Last 16 of the Europa League. Easily done. I don't think we had any doubts, especially after seeing our lovely team lineup. Butland in goal, King at right back, Tav at centre back, then Proper and Yefti, Diamande, Raskin and Bayrami, and then Cherny, Dessers, and Hamza Igamane. Stevie, I'm going to come to you first. I know you've already talked about the game on your excellent vlog, but I think it's worth just talking about what your reaction was sitting in the press room, receiving that lineup and thinking, yeah, we'll easily do this, right?
I was about to stop you there, Andrew, and say it wasn't the last eight, it was the last 16, having already spoiled this by saying I don't want to host and then telling everybody at the start of recording that Livy had just scored at Falkirk. So yeah, it's been a good start. I couldn't believe the selection actually in terms of King and Tavernier. It's funny because we've waited for Leon King to play for so long, then finally gets a game, and you put your right back at centre half and put your centre half at right back, and then your right back comes off, and you just move your right back at centre back in and put Suter on, don't you? Because that's what you would do. But no, we put little Ross McCausland at right back. Why wouldn't we? Like, you know what I mean? Why not? So yeah, it was interesting. But you know, the team selection worked because we won. So just overall, though, Andrew, massive credit to the team for their performance in Europa League group stages. To get 14 points and to finish in the top eight is nothing short of remarkable. So many highs in there when you think about Nice away, Olympiacos getting a point away, Malmo. That little trio of away games really did, catapult us forward. Thrashing Bucharest at home, wasn't as easy as we maybe thought it was at the time, because they turned out to be a pretty decent side. And yeah, really enjoyable Europa League campaign for Rangers so far, and they deserve massive credit. And then here's the rub, and people will laugh at this. I think last night was our worst performance in the group stage. I thought we were really lucky. I thought that USG missed a ton of chances, but given that we had so much inexperience on the pitch and so many players injured, in context to that, they found a way to win, which was fantastic. So it's not a negative, just on a viewing point of view. I think we played a lot better in the group stages than last night. But ultimately, last night was a bit of a cup final. You just need to win it however you can, and they did, and they got a wee bit of luck along the way, which we've maybe not got before. So, great to be in the last 16. It really is, financially. What it means for the coefficient, what it means for the club overall, and just a nice wee boost. It was lovely to see Ibrox at 90 minutes as well. So overall, team selection questionable, team subs and things questionable also, but we got there in the end, in a really fabulous result and overall campaign.
I mean, look, to be honest, if you look at the bench that we had there, it's the B team, basically, with Suter and Lawrence rounding it out. So, I mean, questions about subs, sure, but who are you going to bring on? Paul Ncio made his European debut already. Some folk have decided he's not going to make it at Rangers, just 10 minutes and garbage. Fine, I guess, if you want to do that. Zach Lovelace got 10 minutes as well. As you said, Ross McCausland coming on at right back. And we got to see John Suter come back again, and his knees didn't explode, which I think was the fear that that's what would happen if we brought him in the first half. Let's speak about that first half, Andrew. Rangers, I think, had their chances. I think we were very much more in control in that first half than in the second half, where it started to get a bit scarier. Rangers scored a goal from a corner. We're starting to make a habit of this in the new year. It's been very nice, having not seen it for the past 3 or so. Little interchange between Tav out the wing, and then he puts in a really excellent ball. And Nico Raskin, who's the shortest guy on the park, only because Ridvan isn't playing, gets on the end of a header, puts into the back of the net. Really good header, and his first goal of the season as well. What a time to score.
Hold on a wee minute. Is it really fair to ask Andrew to comment, given what a week this has been. Like yesterday, emotional. You know what I mean? When I lost Scott Wright, I felt the same. It's only fair we ask him if he's okay.
I mean, what I wanted to do, Stevie, you got to rip the band-aid off at some point. It's loss. You've got to accept it. You've got to try and move on. You can't dwell on these things. And I quite frankly, Stevie, I'm upset you brought up Rabbi, because you shouldn't be unearthing these sad memories for Andrew. I want him to focus on the good times, on the happy times. Andrew,
Rangers.
If you want to work through it, then go for it.
Yeah. Rangers have produced some big nights in the European stage when there's been a lot of high emotions. We've seen that in the run to Seville. So I'm hoping this could be a catalyst for another run to the final in Bilbao. But yeah, it was to get back to the keeping Rangers in a good focus instead of putting me right in the gutter again. Yeah, I thought I was in Bizarro World, and that was not just people saying that they were happy to see Matondo going, but the fact that we did score from a corner, or a nice intricate set piece started in a corner, and yeah, Nico Raskin, the header, yeah, everything about that seemed quite, upside down to me. Like this, I was expecting the Stranger Things last season trailer a couple of weeks from now, but it seems like it could have been last night at Ibrox. But yeah, a positive first half. I mean, I didn't feel any nerves going to the ground. I just thought if we can do our job, we'll just see what happens. And the team, as we've said, a great campaign in the league phase. So I had a lot of hope, and based off of actual form that we were going to do well, instead of just it's Rangers. Hopefully, we'll turn up today against Scottish teams. But yeah, fair play to the lads that. As we said, bare bones operation, but they did to a man, did their job. Alan McCoy gave Leon the kiss of death with these hype pre-game. He failed to see past the half 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but that was a shame.
14 minutes. I mean,
it was just dragging, and that's I was around 25, 30 minutes. But yeah, I was proud. I was proud the whole night. I think that's the key word, is just proud, because they did us all, proud.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we're down to the bare bones in terms of that squad and the amount of effort they have to put in. With a really makeshift defense, and you send it back, it's right back, and so on. It's ridiculous, but we got the goal. We held on to it well. I think continued to dominate that in the first half, and then Kenny in the second half. Cyril Dessers, who I think had a legitimately excellent game for us. Again, as I've said in the past couple of episodes, any scouts out there, there's still time. Window's open till Monday. He does this kind of stuff all the time. We'll reluctantly part with him for like 10 million quid. I mean, it'll be a heartbreak, but can't stifle his creativity, his skill. He needs to go out and find exciting new places in which to demonstrate his abilities. And we want, reluctantly to let him go off and flourish. But Kenny, that second half, USG definitely came back into it. They looked motivated. They had the same kind of thing on the line that we did. They were motivated in the same way. They were looking to get into that top 8 of that league. But we managed to weather the storm fairly well until the kid from Home Alone scored against us. But Václav Černý continues to demonstrate his abilities. He's been such a key player for us, which is really frustrating because he's only on loan with us. But he keeps coming up with important goals. And the fact that it was off of Cyril Dessers' assist made it all the sweeter.
Yeah, it was a cracking goal, and it came at the right time because Union were right on top of us, actually. I thought they were quite slick starting the second half and causing us a bit of bother. And to be fair to them in the second half, or unfair to them in the second half, they missed a few sitters. But the goal's a cracking goal. Cyril Dessers just gets the boy on one, and he just keeps backing off, and he times it perfectly, cuts the ball back, and Černy's there, and a lovely tidy finish, and that's gives us that cushion, doesn't it, when we go 2-0 up? Because it was one of those games. I'll be honest, I didn't think we played well at all over the 90 minutes. I thought we were okay. and we were coping with them quite well. But some of our passing was really sloppy. They were decent. I mean, there was no doubt in that they were a big, strong side, and that goal put me at ease. Put it that way. I thought that was us, and then we know how the second half unfolds. But I was quite happy with the team, with the situation that we find ourselves in, where we have got so many injuries and young players. And what you said about Paul and Seal, why are we like this? You go onto Twitter and the boys played 12 minutes in Europe, and half of Twitter is going absolutely ape about this kid, and you're like, it's 12 minutes, guys. Let's see what the boy can do for us, But look, again, as I say, I actually thought that Cyril Dessers was probably my man of the match. I thought he'd one of his best games for us, without doubt. I actually thought even his hold-up play and stuff like that he gets criticised all the time for, was actually really good. I thought Czerny had a pretty poor game, actually, but as you say, pops up. And that is that 13, 14 goals or something he's got for us now? I can't remember, but something like that. And that is some return from a wide player. So absolutely delighted. And as Andrew said, quite proud of them last night, because that was a tough game to get through, and we managed to do it, Andrew.
Just quickly on Kenny, on your Cyril Dessers point and his best performance in the Rangers jersey, he made 4 key passes, including his assist for the goal, and he done 29 pressures. Now, why is that important? Because his average is 11, and it shows you how well he's performed in that game last night. And we talk about Cyril Dessers not being able to hold up the ball. We talk about him not being able to bring the team up the pitch. We talk about him not carrying the ball all round. He's not good enough. And I think legitimately that's been a complaint that's been fine. The other thing, Tierney, that's his 20th goal involvement. So assists and goals, which is remarkable for a winger in January. Tell me the last player that we had that's done that, and that range of numbers, you're going back a lot. So, stat-wise, we were incredible. Also, Nico Raskin averaged the most tackles and interceptions per 90 of any player in the Europa League group stage, 7.72. So plenty of plus points for Rangers last night, that's for sure. Sorry to cut in on you, Kenny, but just I don't know if you want to come back in on Dessers, but I think you're spot on all round. Without his contribution of goals, I think all round that's the best I've seen him, and well worthy of getting sponsors man of the match.
Yeah, totally agree. The only thing I would add, actually, that I'd forgotten was that when you were saying about, he's tracking back and stuff like that, there was one point really quite close to the end. I can't remember if it was 2-0 or 2-1, where the boy tracks back a good 40, 45 yards and makes makes this incredible challenge, 20, 25 yards.
87 minutes, I think, Kenny.
Was
Sorry.
It? I just remember it and applauding profusely. It was absolutely brilliant to see, because as you say, he does work hard, but it's not the type of thing that you would typically associate Cyril Dessers with. And fair play to him last night, because I genuinely do think that might well have been the best game I've seen him play for us, although he didn't manage to get one himself.
Just quickly, can I also say, I know because we've given him quite a lot of criticism as well, James Tavernier was fantastic last night at centre half. Andrew, I don't know if you'll agree, but the amount of covering runs, obviously he had that clearance, but there was a couple of crosses near post and stuff, and he was right over. And it doesn't matter if he wins, it's the pressures and the defending that he done. I thought he was really good, Andrew Stuart. Thought he was really, really good actually last night at centre half, considering.
I think based on the season so far, one of my biggest complaints is I feel like we've been lacking a leader. And if it's been Taz been dropped, Taz been injured, or he's been on the bench or whatever, and we've kind of been missing an experienced head in and amongst the team. I think, go back to the summer, you're talking about what Klassen and what John Jordan, the boy from Seville that we're trying to get on loan, who were 30, 31, 33-ish. I think that would have been your experienced player that we would have been hoping to bring in, and obviously it fell through. You then bring in Robin Proper. I think across the park you had Tav, Proper, Dessers, your older heads in the team showed that they've been around the game, they showed the experience just to, in this kind of tight fixture where it could have went either way towards the end. I thought the leaders in the team stood up, and James was the epitome of that. I think he was brilliant. at centre back, at right back when he was put there. There's so much criticism. I think I think you cannot be a good Rangers player if you don't get criticism, which is ironic because you'd think it would be the opposite, but not at our club. But yeah, I was interested in his interview and saying that Vaslav told him to get through. Very focused performance from a guy who has had a lot of criticism as well. I know Dessers has been the guy who's got a lot of flack, but equally James has had his critics, rightly or wrongly. But that was a stand up to be counted moment for him, and yeah, he was leading the charge, but from the back this time.
Yeah, I think, while we're talking about good performances, I want to mention Diamande as well. I thought he had an excellent game in midfield. Plenty of running. I don't have the stats up and organised because I'm not that kind of host, Stevie. But he was certainly did a power running in the midfield there. It was and threw around a good number of good passes as well in a performance that I think, as Kenny said, wasn't really one of our best. But he was another one who stood out for me. Another player I think is standing out for the wrong reasons at the moment is Jack Butland. Again, not the most convincing performance, you'd have to say, in goal for us. No clean sheet once again. I think it's worth discussing because we've had Liam Kelly come in, Stevie. We've had Mason Munn come in as well. I'm not necessarily saying that those guys, are the answer long term, but is it maybe time to give Jack Butland a rest and take him out the firing line for a bit?
Just before we get to Butland, stats for Diamande. Do you want to know how much Diamande ran a lot round last night?
Tell me the running, Stevie.
Yeah, the answer is a lot. So yeah, he was very, very good. And
see, I don't need to look this up. It's just there.
Yeah. Who says we're not prepared? But he was very good. He always is, because he suits this kind of game where you get time and space, and you can play box to box, which is what he is. It's when the teams are playing and he plays, in front of them, and he's got two banks where he struggles a wee bit, and don't they all? But right, Jack Butland. Those of you who watched the vlog will know that I caught USG's goal on the vlog, and you'll never ever be able to describe how difficult it was not to go, what the was that, Jack? Because he got chipped from a header from the edge of the box. He's 6'4" or something, Jack Butland. Like, he's not 5 foot like me. Like, if I had been, I could get chipped, you know what I mean, on my goal line. That's fine. Like, it's tall up there. But he's a big guy. He just doesn't, I said at the time, and you don't want to be ultra negative, because sometimes you're at the other end and you don't see it clearly, and, what have I seen there properly? But I was like, that's just not good. Like, that's just not good at all. He didn't seem to move his feet quick enough. He was really slow in trying to get the ball. Surely if he's that tall, you just take some steps and grab it. Like, I don't know. I just didn't think it was good enough. But overall, look, Jack Butland, very good in Manchester, saving wise. A couple of really good saves, and punches it in his own net. Cost us in Paisley against St Mirren. Wasn't overly convincing at Fir Park, arguably. But I kind of have some sympathy on that goal. And then has come back into the team last night. I think that's a mistake. Sorry. Liam Kelly's not on the same level as Jack Butland. He's a very good debutant, and that's fine, and he can come in for a few games. But I think that we have an issue with Jack Butland's form, but I don't want it to be a big thing, because Jack Butland's a very good goalkeeper for us. Yes, he's top, wage bracket, etc. But where are we going to get better without spending £6, £7, £8 million that we probably don't have? What we need to do is try and get a settled defence and try and get him back to his best form as best we can. But it was a wee moment where I was like, yeah, if that was me in goals, you understood it. But you're a big guy. It's a header outside the box. It seemed to be up there for ages as well. It just didn't make sense. I think he could have done better. And I'm no expert, Andrew, but, I did win the league for cool primary school B team as goalkeeper. You know what I mean? And I can recall that trophy, which I have in primary 7. So, yeah. I come from an area clearly of expertise.
mean, I sit here as the Boys Brigade's Shenfield branch's goalkeeper for at least 3 months. You're tall, you'll do. And unfortunately, that was where my skills kind of ended where it came to goalkeeping, just physical attributes and literally nothing else. Because I was worried about getting hit in the face because I was wearing glasses on the pitch because sports goggles obviously weren't a conception that had entered. So I spent a lot of time trying to get away from the ball, which is, I think, the opposite of what you're meant to do as a goalkeeper. So probably, again, I'm not speaking from a point of expertise either. It was unfortunate, but again, it's becoming more noticeable. The fact that we did see Suter coming back into the defence, hopefully that's a harbinger of good things to come. I think if he is back in there, Proper, who again always looks much more comfortable in these European games as well, hopefully he can continue to carry on this kind of good vein of form that he's in. Maybe we start seeing a more settled defence. Who knows? We might just see Tav continuing in there as well. So we'll see how we go. Let's look ahead then. So we know we're going to have a couple of weeks off because we're in that top 8. But 4 of the 8 teams that we're in a position to face now, we've already played. So we're relatively familiar with them. Man U, Spurs, Lyon, and Olympiacos. They're not easy teams to play against, but they are known to us. Lazio, Atletico, Frankfurt, and who else am I missing? Oh, us. That rounds out the rest of your top 8. So there's no names in there that strike the absolute fear into me, Andrew, because we've faced up against these guys before. Spurs game, you could argue we could have won that. Man U game, arguably, we are unfortunately just undone at the end there by some good fortune on their part, and Jack Bolton punching the ball into our own net. So there's a lot of hope, I think, for those fixtures coming up, but we don't have to worry about that for a little while because it's not going to happen for us. We know that I think our potential opponents are, and I do have this prepared, are Fibonacci, Twente, Anderlecht, or Bodo Glimt. So it's going to be one of those 4 who will potentially be up against. Who we will be up against come the next time that we play in the Europa League. So again, that feels very winnable to me, Andrew. But how do you think?
Well, I'd like to see, first of all, us get you make use of our changes we can make, because we had a lot of the B team playing, as we know, and obviously with some players being injured, which, although you can say goalkeeping, was your expertise, as someone that had 2 leg breaks before the age of 6, injuries is my expertise. Youngest person to be in the MRI scanner in Paisley Hospital, so yep, that's me. I'd like to hope that we can get some of those injured players, just us back consistent game time, and also making use of Danilo if he stays fit potentially. Obviously being in there, you've got a toss up Hadji in there potentially, or obviously you've just brought in Rafa Fernandez as well as another option. There's a lot to play with in terms of who comes in, but I think we can kind of park your travel plans for now and just let's, as I'm sure we'll get into, Ross County on Sunday is the main thing. There's some decent names. Everyone just knows Bodo Glimt for what they did to the team across the city. We all became Norwegian football journalists when we were looking up the scores 80 minutes onwards last night. Let's not lie to ourselves. Everyone had their eye on these Bodo Glimt and then potentially Anderlecht, Hoffenheim. But we've did our job for the league phase. They've got some games to play. See how they come through. If they get, as the press were so happy to mention Nick Walsh sending 2 USG players off. We'll see what happens in their ties leading into where we meet up with our opponent and go from there. So yeah, happy to park our Euro travels for now and focus on the bread and butter.
You're saying that, Andrew. I've already got my hotel in Bilbao picked out. So, I mean, Kenny, I think it's worth dwelling on the nature of this achievement as well, and think about it in the wider context, because as much as we have sat here a lot and complained about Rangers' domestic form, our European form continues to be, I think, very much punching above our weight. We're in a group with Man U and Tottenham, who, let's face it, could buy and sell most of the Scottish League just by themselves. So it's a fantastic achievement to have done what we've done before you even consider the nature of the team. You know, the youth of it, the fact that we're playing the B team for large chunks of this. It's phenomenal that we have not only achieved it this season, but also the previous seasons. We've been the biggest contributor to the Scottish coefficient for decades. Feels like because our European success, in stark contrast to what it was a while back, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, listen. You take this into context, and you consider the way our form was at the start of this season when this draw was made. And I remember coming on here and just laughing when that draw was made, and just thinking, we'll do well to get 2, 3, 4 points out of this. And when you consider, that it is Man United, it is Spurs, it is Olympiacos who won the Conference League last year. You've got what was the other one? Leon, who we know all about. I looked at those 4 fixtures right away, and then I thought, Nice away, that's not easy. Malmo, Swedish champions, that's not easy. Steaua Bucharest, Romanian champions, that will not be easy either. And Union, who we watched last night, who we knew all about from a couple of years ago, where they tore us apart over there, if you remember. So we knew there was a tough set of fixtures, and they come out of that in the top 8. It's actually mind-boggling when you think about it. It shows you how well we have done, because Steaua Bucharest were right there and about right up until the last few minutes. Union were the same. They could have qualified for the top 8. And when you actually consider that's probably, without being dramatic about it, our set of fixtures has probably been the toughest in the entire competition of any team. So to finish in that top 8 is fantastic, and the manager and the players, and as he said, the squad, the squad in general deserve huge credit for getting there and avoiding the playoff as well. And I am delighted with that, genuinely, and flabbergasted when I look back on it and think how well we've done. But I'll tell you what, you look at say if it was Fenerbahce, that's going to be a tough away game. We know that. Anderlecht, good Belgian side. We know they're a good side. Bodo Glimt we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, fire it up in Europe a little bit. So that'll be a tough game. There's no easy, and 20 are sitting top 4, top 5 in Holland. So they'll be a good side. There's no bad sides in this tournament. But I'll tell you what, bring that on, because there's none of them there that I would sit there and be particularly worried about playing. So, you've got a wee opportunity to find that yourself in a, particularly as Andrew says, if we can maximise the strength of our squad there and actually bring perhaps the likes of Yanis Hadji and Danilo in, and there'll be room for any other, because if I remember right, Rabbi Matondo wasn't in the squad. Was that right? No. So people are going to have to drop, but people are going to have to drop out. So he's got a tough choice to make, Philippe Clement. But I'll tell you what, I'd be having perhaps another centre half and those two in that squad with, his choice of who drops out. But quite exciting, actually. I actually looked at that draw, and the way the draw works, and thought, if we get one particular side of that draw, that could open up for us. So you never know. We'll see.
Just before we finish, Andrew, probably a good point, and it's good that I'm probably the one to raise it, because I've been an ardent fan and never criticised the manager, but it's probably the right point to highlight and give him praise, because this European run's been really good, and by that accident or design, Ross McCausland at right back, for example, we have managed to come through this group in the top 8, which is a remarkable achievement. So well done, Philippe Clement. I think that if we can go on a domestic run away from home and begin to get some consistency and see those levels of confirmation, as he calls it, then things will die down around Philippe Clement. I want to see him succeed. That goes without saying, but there's still a lot of question marks for me. So well done to him. Fabulous achievement. Well done to the management team and the squad overall. And it's nice to have a wee bit of positivity, because it was a feel-good moment last night. It was, that 90 minutes to hear the crowd and Sunset Brothers and stuff. It's been a wee while, and that was nice. And I just hope it generates some momentum. Can Dundee United on Sunday wasn't it's Dundee United, it's Tannadice. We shouldn't make it out like they are, Juventus away from home. But to come from behind and win that game, they come through last night, maybe not playing the best to qualify top 8. Are we starting to see them getting that backbone? How do we win games when we aren't at our best? I don't think in times on Sunday we were at our best, but they've found ways. And that to me is really encouraging. So, yeah, all credit to them. Is this a wee turning point in the last few weeks? I really hope so. So all credit, Andrew. And really, genuinely chuffed. Let's go and continue on Sunday against Ross County. Then they've got a wee bit of time, cup in between. They can get some bodies back, rest some players. Czerny looks like he's going to fall asleep during games. The poor guy's so knackered. So be nice to be able to rotate a wee bit as well. But final word, credit to the management and the players. It's a hell of an effort. So well done on that.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I think you look ahead to our fixtures: Ross County, Queen's Park, and then an away fixture. I think if we can go through those 3 games, get results, hopefully show that we've turned a corner. It's Hearts. I mean, come on. So hopefully we can start putting together a good run of form and picking up those wins. Queen's Park, like you say, Stevie, it might be a good opportunity to rest a few players as well.
See, before you go, very, very quickly, right? You hear this on the vlog. See, when Kevin McAllister gets subbed off for USG last night, people in the main stand were shouting, "Kevin!" like that, like the old Home Alone thing, and you can actually pick it up and hear it. And me being such a Christmas body, absolutely loved that moment. So, yeah, that tickled me last night.
Yeah, folks, go and check out the vlog, because, I mean, it's always fun, because, Stevie is nice and emotionally balanced when it comes to these things as well. Doesn't overreact, stays quite calm throughout the whole thing. It's good. And it's well worth checking out, especially knowing how it ends as well. Andrew, we know we're going to be up against Ross County. They're 10th in the league. You would hope, given it's at home, given the level of the opposition, this should be relatively straightforward. Would you be changing anything up particularly for this one? Throwing new bodies into the squad, or is this just a reward for the guys' hard work against USG? Stay in and keep working.
Well, I would have played Rabi, but unfortunately that decision's been taken out of my hands, which is, not a great feeling, but I'm sure somebody else will try and live up to the grand, performances that Rabi gives us, especially against County. I don't have a care in the world now. It's all been taken away from me. Thursday night was good. It's really gonna start to dip back down with the realization that it's happened. Might start watching German second division football towards the end of the season. I don't think Stevie's continued to keep an eye on Birmingham City, to be perfectly honest. But I will be committed to Hanover for Rabi. But to get back to your question, I think yes, we might have to see just who's managing to walk the training after the shift they put in. If Leon can see, straight, if he's not seeing 3 and try to punch in the middle, what was the Rocky? And seeing 3 people and just punch the one in the middle. I think it will be first, I'd like to see Zach Lovelace. I think after his cameo at Dundee United getting an assist, I would like to see Zach. I think that would be a commitment to him, showing from the manager, if there's a whole contract talk. More Yanis Hadji would certainly help me. I enjoy watching Yanis. Serial maybe continuing he's scoring one. I don't know, Monday still a wee bit away with Hamza, but who knows? I'd like to see smart changes, not wholesale, because we do tend to have an issue when we go wholesale, rip it up and throw people in, because we do seem to have a lack of cohesion for the opening 20-25 minutes. So when we do that, but yeah, it makes sensible changes, which I'm sure the manager is capable of doing. I mean, this is the guy that put a right back, centre back, and a centre back, and right back. We're talking about, but he earned my trust. He's always had my trust. I'm talking nonsense. So yeah, I'm just let's just not do too much.
Andrew, I don't like to talk, about our Four Lads group chat and that, but it's worth saying at 1809, news of Rabbi Matondo's move went to Hanover, and less than 30 seconds later, there was a post. I won't say who by, but it says, Niels Coppin is a fraud, and I hope his pillow is warm until the end of his days. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, the nice thing is that it is anonymous, and we don't need to get into who may have posted what in the heat of the moment. Especially when I was just bringing the news in the spirit of getting everyone up to date and making sure that everyone was okay. I did
the issue with that is
to
because of the platform. I'd like it to be known that in the general wider scale, Niels Coppin is very high in my good books. We're just not in talking terms now for what he did. Kind of like how your dad says he's not angry at you, he's just disappointed. That's how we're kind of are now, me and Niels. Because I like the guy, I think he's spot on, but maybe not with that. I'd say he's been okay. But it would have been a lot higher if he'd just maybe got rid of Lawrence and Dowell and not Rabi.
Look, we still have a couple of days left in the transfer window. Come Monday, maybe you'll find a little present under your tree. You never know. A little late Christmas present. We shall see. That's for another pod, though. Folks, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to all three of you tonight. Kenny, my friend, as ever, always nice to come on and talk about a win, my friend.
No, you're right, Andrew. And a couple of revelations. Yes, you are very tall, and Niels Coppin has been right up my estimation this week. But that's just my opinion. But that was a good show, guys. Thanks for that. Enjoyed that.
Appreciate it, mate. Andrew, as ever, we got the style. We're still called both Andrew thing, but I don't think that's going to change, unfortunately. So it's been a pleasure to have you on, mate, and nice for you to have a night off and not have to juggle hosting and yelling at people in the audience as well.
Yeah, it's lovely to be on the Friday show, not live. That makes it so much easier. But happy to be on with you guys. Great having a good chat. Sunday the 2nd of Feb, Hanover versus Hamburg. That's a good game. I think you should check it out, folks. A close fan relationship with Hamburg and everybody's favourite Welshman. So get your eye on that, folks. But thank you for having me on.
Bit of a derby, that
That's a
too. They're
pleasure,
only
mate.
45 minutes away from each other.
That'll be a good one. It'll be a good one.
A
I'm
big
sure
tifo
Rabi's
to
going to...
Hamburg fans, with Rabi and his Rangers top. Yeah, sure. Must be.
He'll score a hat-trick. It's going to be great. He'll tear it up. The second he's gone away from us, he's going to become the best player in the world. That's how these things go,
Tearing it up
unfortunately.
here.
Look, we don't have time to get into it.
I'm relapsing, sorry.
Like, I know that this recording originally went an hour long. We had to cut out a whole 20 minutes of Andrew, valiantly defending Rabi's honour, but that probably hasn't made the final cut, unfortunately. Stevie, as ever, mate, pleasure to have you on, even though you didn't host because you're work shy or something like that. But nonetheless, I do appreciate you coming on. Your efforts with the vlog were excellent as well, and looking forward to this weekend, mate.
Yeah, that wasn't quite my expression when you asked if I was hosting, was it? But look, I think you're right. I hope Rabbi Matondo does smash it up over in Germany, because then he won't come back. And same with Kieran Dowell. So a story broke on Four Lads, by the way, that Dowell and Matondo had no future. So keep an eye on our socials. We'll do our best. Also, news of Sam Pooley arriving, head of sports science this week. We posted that up and continue to try and bring news. Will there be some signing news in the next couple of days? Well, not giving up hope, so we'll see. But thanks as ever, everyone, for joining us. It's very much appreciated. And vlog will be back on Sunday for Ross County. I'll try not to cough through it. It's difficult. I can't get rid of this cough, so it's difficult.
Hey, we appreciate your efforts nonetheless, mate. Folks, everyone out there listening, watching, we appreciate you. Again, your your viewership, your listenership. That's why we keep doing it. We'd probably do it anyway, but still, we appreciate you guys tuning in and checking it out, because it makes it feel worthwhile, you know. Thank our sponsors as well. They enable us to do all this stuff. The wind beneath our wings. As ever, folks, always a pleasure talking to you. Tune in on Sunday for the vlog, and we'll be back on Monday with the flagship to talk about all the fallout from that game. Hopefully just a nice, easy win to talk about, but it's Rangers, so we'll see how things go. Thanks again for tuning in, and until we talk to you again, bye for now.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clyde Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, along with Art of Gold. Thank you for listening or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.